We've been getting a lot of questions about software and software selection and the whole process, and a lot of people are making some decisions on how quickly they can change software. Shane and I were talking, and we decided that software selection and implementation is actually pretty close to whenever you decide you're going to move out of your current home and build a new home. Now, I don't know how many of you have had this experience, but Shane and I have done this a couple of times, and we find that there's some high stress points whenever you're building a new home. And I was going to go through software selection right in line with building a home as an analogy. I want to first point out that both of these processes take about the same amount of time. Usually it's about 9 months whenever you're going from whatever software you're currently in to your new software, from the time you're making these decisions to the time you're moving in. Let's get started with my analogy, and hopefully you will enjoy it as well. So the first step that happens whenever you're looking at software or a new home is that you find you're frustrated in your current position. Now, maybe it's too small of a home, or maybe it's just not where you wanted it to be, or maybe things are breaking. The same thing is true in software. Sometimes that software is just not doing it for you, or sometimes you're even getting software problems like it's breaking, or there's database issues or security issues. Something's going wrong. So that's really the first step. And once you've reached this step, you have to make a decision of whether you're going to get back into your current software and see what you can do with it. And we have a different video on that. That's down a ways here in All Access. Or you're going to go into a software selection process. We also have all of the software selection in All Access. So we're going to today just talk about the overall experience, and then you can decide which side you want to deep dive in. You could even choose to do some work on your current house, see if that'll buy you a little more time before you make the big investment in this new house that you're going to build. The second thing that happens is that you start looking around. Start demoing software. You start maybe going to some model homes. You're going to go look and see what the marketplace is holding for you. And when you're doing this, you don't usually just go and tell the first house you see, that's the one for you. Usually you look at a couple. You do some research. You might even call and ask about builders. You might call and ask about floor plans. So there's a lot of research that goes into this. Some people are doing this process in 30 days. They get it done relatively quickly. Others are taking up to 6 months just to figure out what they want their new software to look like, asking questions and doing investigations. What I like in this period in both the home building experience and also the software experience is this is whenever you're demoing software. You're watching the YouTube videos to see what that software does, but you're spending that time and investing in what you want. You're building your wish list so that you know what you want this to look like in the end. You're creating what you like about your current house and what you don't like about your current house so that you can make sure that you get that in your new house or your new software package. The next step is you actually select. So you select your software, or you select your builder or your home plan. You make a decision to go down a path. Once you make that decision, sometimes people think, whew, I'm done. If you have built a house, you know that is only the beginning. Then comes months of daily decisions on what do you want here? Where would that outlet? Where should that outlet go? Would you like your light switch on the right side or the left side? Yeah, lots of decisions. The same is true in software. Once you decide to go with a software package, lots of decisions. Do you want your chart of account to look like this or this? Do you want your cost codes to work this way or this way? Decisions, decisions. Especially when you get into payroll, lots and lots of decisions within payroll. Whenever you then are building the house, you're making these decisions, you're doing the implementation, you're also packing. So meanwhile, back at the old house, you're going through all of your belongings. Is this stay? Does this go? Do I need to rework this? Does it just need to go away? You're doing the same thing with your data. You're taking your data and you're saying, okay, I've always had my vendor file look like this, but do I want it to look different? Do I want to clean up my data files? Do I want to clean up my vendor files because I've got 5 of the same vendor and I need to get rid of those? There's the same type of work where you're doing a whole bunch of cleaning as you're implementing and making decisions. And this period of time can feel really overwhelming when you're building a house. You're packing and you're sometimes even trying to sell your home, this isn't like your life stop. It didn't stop. Your kids have places to go. You still have to go to the grocery store, and you have to make decisions on your house, pack, and get it going. This period of time usually lasts between 3 and 4 months, where it feels like a whole nother job. And that's true in software implementation as well. You want to think about the timing of this implementation, because if you're doing it in the busiest time of your year, that could be too much for your staff. Usually you have somebody that's really a point person for the software, but you can see that it would be overwhelming. Sometimes 20 hours a week. I think there's been times I spent 40 hours a week getting ready for software. So you want to make sure that you've got that baked into your plan on when you're going to implement. The next thing that happens is moving day. And if you've moved, you know what you typically say. I'm never doing this again. We've said that, and then we've still moved again. But you say that. You say, I'm never doing this again, and that is the equivalent of your go live date. You are going to turn that software, you're going to turn everybody loose in that software, and you're going to run. Now, there used to be a period of time, I'm old enough to know, where you ran software in tandem. So you'd run the old software and the new software and make sure they got the same results. That's like paying for 2 mortgages. You're going to pay for your old house and you're going to pay for your new house. Most people don't like that. And that trend has really gone away, where we're seeing more of, you're going to be done with this software on a certain day and you're going to move into your new software same day. That doesn't mean that you don't still have to move things back and forth, or maybe you gave yourself a 2-week period to get out of your house, but you want to make that clean break. It's going to make it easier on everyone, and it saves a ton of time with having to create this tandem. So once you move in, you have this idea, this new house, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's always going to be great, and there's no issues. Except you can't find anything. It's in boxes, you unpacked it but forgot, you lost things in the move, and that's what new software is like. Everybody that uses it feels like they don't know what's going on, and they kind of feel out of sorts. Sometimes people even are to the point of tears in new software, so just be fair warned. Sometimes there's tears whenever you go to new software. Sometimes there's tears whenever you move into your new house. You're just overwhelmed, and finally you're on the other side of it. Once you get in that new software, you need to give yourself 3 to 6 months to really acclimate and get it working. It doesn't just work on day one. It takes time. You have to look at the report structure. You have to make sure that everything is working, going to the right place, because you just moved in. You just moved in and you're unpacking and you're putting everything in the right location. And it's just very similar to building a new house and moving. I thought if I went through this whole process, you could see that it's not as quick as make a decision, turn the switch on the next day, and you're off and running. Many of our contractors start with a simpler system, like a QuickBooks, something that's a little more built for anyone, and then they move into a construction accounting software package. When they make this move, it's like going from your starter home to maybe more of your dream home. It isn't something that happens overnight, and you need to be prepared for it. And Shane and I just thought you would appreciate hearing it, just like building a house. Some of you even may be home builders, and you may be, oh yeah, we've been on the other side of this. But it makes it more fun. It makes it like something that you can relate to, and it also helps you with timeline. Okay, so what are you going to do next? First thing you got to decide is, which path are you going? Are you going to invest in the current software you have, or are you going to go down the path of new software? Let me tell you, both of these answers are right, and depending on what situation you're looking at or the time of year, it does make a difference. You may want to go down your current software before you make that change. So following along here in All Access, you can kind of choose your own adventure as you go through there, but we have example wish lists for you, so you can see that. We have example timelines. You can build your own timeline, so you'll see that in there. We also talk about what you can do if you're going to stay with your current software. So you'll see that all in this whole segment. As always, if you run into any questions or have anything you need to talk about, just send me an email and we'll see if we can find you an answer. We get asked a lot. Final thing, we get asked a lot about our favorite software. I've got a frequently asked questions where I do a lot of those questions that we get asked so that you can just consume all of that data at once in All Access. Okay, holler if you have any questions. Good luck, guys. I hope your new home's great. Bye.